So before I watch the Ezra Klein Ta-Nehisi Coates debate, which is very interesting, I wanted to play this like a minute, this little clip of Ezra here, kind of talking about something that I think is very interesting, and I haven't really heard a lot of people on the left pick up on why the left is sort of failing and where they're at. And also, a lot of people want us to watch or requested the Coleman Hughes Dave Smith debate, which we'll probably watch next Sunday unless something else explosive happens.
So part of the Abundance Tour, I've been on a bunch of podcasts by the sort of, comedians or other more cultural figures who definitely voted for Obama. And then some of them voted for Trump 1, and then a lot of them voted for Trump 2. I've just been struck because they don't seem a lot of them that happy about what they're getting. But they're not really talking to me about how liberals didn't deliver. And they're not talking to me about how conservatives did deliver. What moved them was that liberals didn't like them. They felt rejected. And I think it's easy to discount that. Oh, you had a SAD, so you ushered in fascism? And I said that in a way that makes it a laugh line, but I take it perfectly seriously. The fundamental question in politics is not if you like the politician, it's does the politician like you? That is the heuristic people actually use. Does this political movement like you? Are they going to back you up? And if they are sending every signal that they don't, it's pretty reasonable to not vote for them.
Yeah, I think this is actually.
And I think this is what, because you've seen that meme a million times. It's oh, the right was mean to me, or sorry, the left was mean to me, so I, went to the far right or whatever. I became a right winger, and it's. I mean, this is a good point. That's completely actually reasonable for a lot of people to do that. If you feel that one side of the political party or one political party doesn't like you and insults you and attacks you, why would you think that party, once they're in power, why would you think that they would do anything for you? They would seem very obvious, oh, this is a party that once it's in charge, it's going to do things to try to hurt me, to harm me. It's going to try to take resources away from me and give it to other people. And so it's a completely, I think, rational reaction to the situation of sort of the woke left sort of attacking white people, attacking men, attacking these various groups. It's okay, well, they're attacking me. They're not going to do anything for me once they're in power. And until the left actually addresses this, acknowledges this, and maybe even apologizes for engaging this behavior, I think they're going to be stuck in this pit for a long time.
Even this framing, what should be admitting the problem, is so goddamn condescending. It's ridiculous. They basically frame it as, oh, we're going to do all of these great things for you, and you're just mad that we were mean to you. It's first of all, what you're saying is totally on point. Are you really going to do all these nice things for me? I mean, it seems like you kind of hate my fucking guts, right? But all of that aside, even if they are going to do these super nice things for you, is it worth getting beat up and punched around for? Mm-hmm. What the fuck? Is it worth being spit on so that you can get these things from government? Most people say no. Fuck you. No. You want to spit on me and offer me something? How about you take a flying fuck?
Yeah. Well, I think the condescending framing, well, first, it's twofold. I think Ezra has a condescending vibe to him whenever he talks about anything.
Well, everyone that marches us out, it's meant to be condescending.
Right.
They're oh my God, you changed you have no principles. You changed your position because someone was mean to you. Oh my God, you're so unprincipled.
But, right. So I think he does have that vibe, but he's saying it. He's attacking the condescending argument. He's not mirroring it. He's not saying it's incorrect. He's saying, no, this is the left's reaction to this, but that the people who move away from the left are completely justified.
He didn't lay it out. He did not lay it out the same way you laid it out.
Well, he's talking
He
to a
didn't
primarily
lay it
left-wing
out.
audience, so he's
He
trying
didn't
to
lay
frame
it
it
out
in
in
a
the fact
specific
that
way.
you're completely eroding the trust in the populace.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, if you want to say I'm more eloquent than Ezra Klein, I'll take it.
Well, maybe you get it more. I don't even know if Ezra Klein believes it the way that you laid it
I
out.
think well, we'll listen to more of the conversation. I think it definitely comes up more in this conversation. Um,
It-
that is the
I don't
argument
see
that
why you would trust any of these people. You laid it out perfectly. These
So
people have utter contempt for you. Why would you trust them?
because I don't really like Ezra very much, and he's definitely been pretty woke in the past. But the fact, and we'll watch it in the conversation with Ta-Nehisi Coates, his reaction to Charlie Kirk's assassination and the seeming realization that there is this problem of sort of radical lefties is going to lead me to say, okay, I'm going to give, at least a modicum of trust in the pushback that he's engaging in here, even though he's very anti-Trump, which is fine. Obviously, he's on the left. He's not going to like Trump. And he's very hesitant about, Trump, seizing power and all these other things. But if he's aware and pushing back on a lot of this sort of far left, woke left stuff, and has this acknowledgement of it, I haven't heard anyone on the left really make that acknowledgement about, no, actually, it's completely justified for someone to say these people hate me. Why should I support them? And I don't know why. I think we should give credit to people who we disagree with, but are able to at least say the right thing, move in the right direction, try to move their side in the right direction.
There are two levels, though. There is the level of, I understand that my political opposition have good points and that they're trying to do good in the world, just like I am. And then there is a level of, my interlocutors are stupid and naive, and I need to formulate a strategy that can get them on my side so that I can push them in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know. I don't know where Ezra Klein is. I don't know which of those camps Ezra Klein is. And I haven't seen anything to convince me that Ezra Klein is in the camp that he actually thinks Republicans have anything good to offer.
So, well, it's twofold, which is, number one, I would say don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. If people are moving in the right direction, even if they're trying to push the Democrat, like, here's the way I look at it from like a very outcome oriented, pragmatic way. If Ezra or anyone is trying to push the Democrats in an ideological direction because they want the Democrats to win more elections, as long as that ideological direction is better for the country, then everyone should support that, even if you're a Republican. You'd prefer to have a Democrat Party, which is going to win some of the times, that is reasonable and not hyper woke insane, versus one that's hyper woke insane, so that if they do win, you're like, oh my God, is it going to be like the end of the country, or what kind of insane thing are they doing?
No, I agree.
Right. So that's, I guess, my position on that. But then secondly, is that I don't see why what you're saying could just equally apply to anyone on the Republican side, which I don't. That's why part of why I don't like this framing is that if Trump does something that I think is good, I think people should stand up and say, okay, well, it's good that he did that. If any Republican does or says something that's good, you should say that's good. I don't think you should frame it in the frame of, well, Donald Trump or insert ex-Republican has made comments that says all Democrats or all people on the left are evil, are groomers, are communists, or whatever. So I'm going to discount any sort of rightward direction. When I say rightward, I mean correct, not politically. Any correct thing that they do, just because I'm not sure that they really appreciate, the concept of having a left in America.
Well, there are partisan Republicans who do think just anyone on the left is evil. I don't agree with those people either, obviously. So.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't automatically, if one of those people says, first of all,
I'm
like
talking specifically about Ezra Klein here.
No, I'm talking about
have you seen something from Ezra Klein that makes you think that he's not just some sanctimonious, patronizing piece of shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, here
I would love to see
read it.
Sure, I would love to be convinced.
Okay. He's not in this conversation. I think Matthew Iglesias, who I'm kind of mixed on because he says a lot of things I like, he says a lot of things I don't like. He's more on the awareness and the direct call it of like, yes, there is a far left movement that like we need to expel and whatever. And Ezra's like, to me, the impression I get from Ezra, and we'll see in this conversation with Ta-Nehisi Coates in this conversation later, is that he's aware that there's this like hyper progressive movement that he has defended in the past, and he doesn't think it's good, but he's still kind of too cowardly or too much kind of wishy-washy, I would say, on trying to call it out. And maybe he's going to make the argument that he thinks it's more persuasive to his side, in order to call it out in some specific way. But he's definitely moving, I think, in a somewhat correct or in a correct direction on this issue.
But I don't. Does he look? Does he look at Republican policies and think this could be useful? Does he look at them unbiasedly? Or does he just use the stereotype Republicans are greedy racists and there's some...
Well, as I said, I don't think that's the correct heuristic to engage with someone saying. If that's the correct heuristic, then everything Donald Trump says is bad and everything he does is bad because he has that same stereotype of the left in his mind.
Trying to judge whether or not someone is using the heuristic is different than just judging everyone for using the heuristic. I'm talking about Ezra Klein specifically.
I don't know is what I said. I don't know the answer.
I don't either, but I don't. Do you think Donald Trump uses that heuristic on anyone on the left?
Yes.
Really? Why does he
Yes.
constantly say the radical left?
He says both.
Okay.
He says both.
Do you think he thinks of? Do you think he thinks of Kennedy as from the left?
No.
So he's Health and Human Services.
Kennedy and Tulsi, they're all the, we left the left because left is crazy now. People, they're not on the left.
So he sees them as right wingers now.
Yeah, we're independents.
All right.
So, well, here, let me read this. So this is the article that Ezra wrote. This is in response to Charlie Kirk being assassinated. Okay. So this was the next day, because this was on September 11th. And he wrote this in the New York Times. Okay. So it was in a big publication. It's Charlie Kirk was practicing politics the right way, was the headline. The foundation of a free society is the ability to participate in politics without fear of violence. To lose that is to risk losing everything. Charlie Kirk and his family just lost everything. As a country, we came a step closer to losing everything too. We've been edging closer for some time now in 2020. Excuse me. A plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, was foiled by the FBI. In 2021, a mob stormed the Capitol in an effort to overturn the results of the election, and pipe bombs were found at the Democratic and Republican National Committee headquarters. In 2022, a man broke into the home of Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House at the time, intending to kidnap her. She was absent, but the intruder assaulted her 82-year-old husband, Paul, with a hammer, fracturing his skull. In 2024, President Trump was nearly assassinated. The same year, Brian Thompson, the chief executive of United Healthcare, was murdered. In 2025, Molotov cocktails were thrown into the governor of Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania's house during Passover. Melissa Hortman, the former House Speaker of Minnesota, and her husband were murdered, and State Senator John Hoffman and his wife were severely injured by a gunman. And on Wednesday, Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Points USA, was gunned down during a speech at Utah Valley University. You can dislike much of what Charlie Kirk believed, and the following statement is still true. Kirk was practicing politics in exactly the right way. He was showing up to campuses and talking with anyone who would talk to him. He was one of the era's most effective practitioners of persuasion. When the left thought its hold on the hearts and minds of college students was nearly absolute, Kirk showed up again and again to break it. Slowly, then all at once, he did. College-age voters shifted sharply right in 2024 election. This was not all Kirk's doing, but he was central in laying out the groundwork for it. I did not know Charlie Kirk, and I'm not the right person to eulogize him, but I envied what he built. A taste for disagreement is a virtue in a democracy. Liberalism could use more of his moxie and fearlessness. In the inaugural episode of his podcast, Governor Gavin Newsom of California hosted Kirk, admitting that his son was a huge fan. What a testament to Kirk's project. On social media, I've seen mostly decent reactions to Kirk's murder. There's grief and shock from both the left and right, but I've seen two forms of reactions that are misguided, however. Comprehensible, the rage or horror that provoked them. One is a move on the left to wrap Kirk's deaths around his views. After all, he defended the Second Amendment, even admitting it meant accepting innocent deaths. Another is on the right to turn his murder into a justification for an all-out war, a Reichstag fire for our time. But as the list above reveals, there is no world in which political violence escalates, but is contained to just your foes. Even if that were possible, it would still be a world of horrors, a society that has collapsed in the most irreversible form of unfreedom. Political violence is a virus. It is contagious. We have been through periods in the country when it was endemic. In the 1960s, there was an assassination of JFK, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Robert Kennedy, and Medgar Evers. In the 1970s, Governor George Wallace was shot by a would-be assassin but survived, and General Ford faced 2 assassination attempts in 1 month. In 1981, Ronald Reagan survived after John Hinckley Jr.'s bullet ricocheted off his rib and punctured his lung. These assassins and would-be assassins had different motives, different politics, and different levels of mental stability. When political violence becomes imaginable, either as a tool of politics or a ladder of fame, it begins to affect hosts heedlessly. American politics has sides. There's no use in pretending it doesn't. But both sides are meant to be on the same side of a larger project. We are all, or most of us anyway, trying to maintain the viability of the American experiment. We can live with losing an election because we believe in the promise of the next election. We can live with losing an argument because we believe that there will be another argument. Political violence imperils that. Kirk and I were on different sides of most political arguments. We were on the same side of the continued possibility of American politics. It is supposed to be an argument, not a war. It's supposed to be won with words, not ended with bullets. I wanted Kirk to be safe for his sake, but I also want him to be safe for mine, and for the sake of our larger shared project. The same is true for Shapiro, for Hoffman, for Hortman, for Thomas, and for Trump, for Pelosi, and for Whitmer. We are all safe, or none of us are. So that was the piece that he put out.
Yeah.
And
Good stuff.
So that was, which I think was pretty milquetoast in terms of like controversy, definitely framed to try to appeal to a more left-wing audience, as it is Ezra and it is New York Times. And yet this op-ed caused a mass triggering on the sort of far left, alt-left internet sphere against Ezra. And I guess this is the second one too, because the first one was really, when he wrote the Abundance book, which focused a lot in terms of how government overregulation is stifling innovation and, the building of homes and all this other stuff. And I mean, we watched some of these interviews. All the Sam Cedars and all the far left got very, very upset that
they got pissed. Yeah.
Yeah. Cast the government, cumbersome regulations that have anything to do with this and not frame everything as just simply, moneyed interest, evil corporations coming in and, stopping development.
He implied that the right was correct about a policy around housing, right?
Yes.
And they got super pissed about that.
He said, I don't think he even implied it. He said it directly.
He came out explicitly and said they were right about this policy.
I believe he said in the book, yeah.
Okay. That's the thing. So I listened closely to what you were reading. I do think, obviously, it's for a left-wing audience, and to be persuasive for a left-wing audience, you kind of have to speak in that milquetoast way.
Yeah.
I don't think, and this is a problem on the right too. I'm not sure how big a problem it is on the right. I think we have to get to the point where people have respect for their interlocutors, the point that they actually engage thinking that they could be correct, that their side of the argument could actually be true. We need to understand these arguments from both perspectives. Okay, look, then I am a dreamer, because one day, yes, that has to be the case. They went into that conversation about housing, saying they may be correct with that intonation about the debate, it wouldn't be the situation. It wouldn't be World War III, because the Republicans got something right for once. We need to make that the norm.
I think what you're saying is wonderful, and I agree with you. I just
do you think it's the same way with the Republicans? Do you think
100%? Yes.
How?
Wait, what issue? Wait. Yes, this is, first of all, this is just human nature, and especially in terms
how can
of
Trump bring in Kennedy?
Wait.
To Health and Human Services, if that's the case?
What policy position has the Republican side argued in the last couple of years that you would say, oh, I think they're open to accepting that the Democrats are right about the other side.
I I would have to go through the policy prescriptions.
Okay. I don't see it. This is generally
I
the
just
general way in which
I
humans
don't see
interact with this
Trump being
information.
I don't see Trump as a partisan in that way.
Well, I don't think Trump is a partisan in
Right.
that way, right? But if we're talking about
If
the
a policy
broader,
is going to be good, if it's on the left or the right, he's going to adopt it regardless, right? I mean, there
no,
was
I
a
think he's going
time
to
when
adopt
no
it,
tax on tips would have been a left wing policy,
right?
right?
He's going to adopt it if he thinks it's good for his political career.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Which
right.
that's the whole point of being outside of partisan politics. You can pick up the free money.
Um,
You can dump your horrible candidate who's a woman and get a better candidate,
I
but you're not married to her because she is a woman.
I think the benefit of Trump not being strictly left, I think he's ideological. He's obviously ideologically very in favor of tariffs. He's very ideologically against immigration, but I don't think he fits into like a clear left-right ideological mold. And I think the benefit of that is the left and the right, even though we both believe that people have intuitions that push them more to the left or to the right, but issues can change. There are certain issues that can change over time. Like, the war is a good example. It used to, if you were pro war and pro hawkishness, you were more on the right until the last couple of years, and now you're more on the left. And so issues can kind of change, what side is supporting them. And it's because there'll be like a different intuition or a different reason or a different rationale. And I think one of the benefits or one of the strengths that Trump has, because he's not like a ideologue in like a left right way, is that he's able to sort of get a sense of, or maybe he just kind of A/B tests and kind of figures it out that way, sort of like the way AI works. He's able to sort of grab hold of issues that will change from the left to the right that most other candidates would be too slow to pick up on because they're sort of operating under the previous heuristic or the previous paradigm of like what issues the left supports or what issues the right supports.
Or their politicians have just locked in their voters by saying there's no way that the other party could get anything right, and so therefore they're obligated to be against whatever the opposite party is in favor
Yeah.
of.
Like
The question is if you see that being more of a problem on the left, or if you see that being more of a
I don't
problem
see
on the
how it's
right.
any different. I'll watch, if you watch any Dave Pacman, Kyle Klinsky, you watch any of these videos of like kind of left wing pundits, every framing for every left wing pundit is the same. It's, everything Trump does is bad and is evil, and all his policies are bad and evil. And the only policies that ever work are left wing pundits or left wing policies. And for them, some of them will be very far left wing. They don't even like moderate left. And if you watch any right wing pundit, if you watch any right wing pundit, it's the same thing in reverse. It's everything the Democrats do is evil and bad and about bringing illegals in the country to replace you. And Donald Trump and all the right wing policies are the good policies. So that's why I'm saying I don't really know. I don't see this world that you see where the right is somehow more inclined to accept left wing policy positions as potentially valid.
What would convince you if Donald Trump adopted a left wing policy?
Yeah, if Trump or
Like supporting Ukraine?
if the well, that has nothing to do with policy because you were talking about how he's going to get bullied into position because there's no direction for him to go. Otherwise, I don't really see how you can even use that as an example.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know why. Wait, I don't understand why you're making the voice.
The what voice?
Like the entire year you've talked about how Trump is going to get bullied into accepting the Ukraine position because there's literally nowhere else for him to go that makes any sense. That's not
Right.
really an example of him being like, well, maybe the Democrats were right and I should have been listening to them.
He adopted it. So he has to adopt it willingly. He can't be bullied into it. He has to come to the conclusion that it's a good idea.
Well, that was the framework that you laid out, the framework of like, is there, that you were saying that you think the Republicans are more open to believing that Democrats have good ideas. And when I listen to every Republican, and I'd say even more than listening to what Trump says, even listening to every Republican pundit or every right-wing pundit on the internet, or on Fox or Newsmax or any of these TV stations, none of them has any sort of, none of them gives any energy to that position.
Do you think Democrats could be bullied into adopting any position that a Republican held?
They did. We literally saw that happen with Biden, with him turning on immigration towards the end of his presidency because the issue is becoming so unpopular.
Right. So you think Democrats are in favor of the Trump administration, the Trump administration's immigration policy now? I don't think they.
No, they're not. They're not in favor of it.
Right. Okay.
But they were in favor of drastically reducing the number of asylum seekers and changing the border policy. That's what they tried to pass, and then they didn't. In like the last couple months of Biden's presidency.
Yeah, they tried to pass it, but the Republicans wouldn't let them pass it because they were like, no, you're not going to get credit for what
exactly. They want
we're going to win the election for. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Too late, sucker.
Right. Now,
but now that they did pass that, now the Democrats are completely against it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, it seems like most of the framing is against the
thing that they wanted to pass. They're totally against.
They weren't the Democrats. Biden never came out in terms of like the whole mass deportation position. So they didn't change positions on that issue. They just changed position on like who they were letting in. So there's that part of it. But I mean, I guess part of the reason why I don't agree with sort of the framing that either side will sort of say, oh, maybe the other side is right, is because, I mean, we've talked about this. This is sort of like the framing of politics is when one side pushes an issue, the other side reflexively turns against it because they don't want to give that side the political win. They have to say, oh, it's bad. Now that one side's pushing it, it's bad, right? We have to push against it.
Yeah, obviously there's a difference between, you always got to separate the voters from the policymakers.
Yeah, voters are different. I think a lot of voters would be more willing to accept a good policy that they just like. But yeah, when we talk about like how the pundits or the politicians are going to frame it,
which side do you think has more
frame it that way?
Cult-like voters who are just voting, who are of this partisan mindset that the Democrats will never have any good policy or the Republicans will never have any good policy?
Well, at this moment, I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of voters in the entire country are motivated either by a love or hatred of Donald Trump. So is one of those more cult-like than the other? Or are they both equally cult-like?
Right. Obviously there's a lot of Democratic voters who don't think the Republicans will ever come up with a good policy and just dismiss it out of hand. That's different than a left-wing politician who takes a policy prescription based on the current political environment. Obviously, the voters are using their sort of metric for Republicans, for all Republicans, a stereotype.
I think you're very concerned with the negative stereotypes that have been cultivated by the right. I mean, and we've talked about them a lot, and we both tried to push back, I think, against the negative right-wing stereotype that all the Republicans are greedy racists, right?
Yes.
We've both done a lot of pushing back on this concept. I don't think you're very sensitive at all to the left-wing stereotype that is being pushed right now and has been pushed for a while, that the left are all communist groomers who want to trans your children in and bring in a bunch of brown people to replace you.
Well, the reason that is because I only see that stereotype in culture on the television show Portlandia, and it's done as comedy. I don't see it in every sort of media.
Yeah, but that's the point, is that it's not, you have a stereotype, an idea about a stereotype, which it sounds like you're saying is not real, but one side is pushing it as if it is real, right? They're pushing it that every left person is Portlandia, right?
Well, the numbers are super slim on the right because there's the few people that do believe the Portlandia stereotype on the right. But I think the stereotype on the left of Republicans, I think that's ubiquitous. People just think that's the norm.
I don't agree. I mean, even Charlie Kirk had, pushed the whole, I'd have to find the quote. I just saw it.
Charlie Kirk is like the perfect example of it. He's just some milquetoast Republican that everyone thinks is fucking David Duke.
No,
He's
but
the
even
perfect example.
well, no. Hold on. I mean, yeah, he's not David Duke. He's
If
not a
there
white
was a
nationalist. Wait, let me finish.
if
Let me
there
finish.
was a Portlandia show, just 1 second. If there was a Portlandia show that had a stereotype of Republicans in the same way that Portlandia does, right? Where they're all greedy racists, okay? And it's constantly being put out there. You know that show would be aimed at the Charlie Kirks of the world. That's the person they'd be
No,
stereotyping.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that even Charlie Kirk was saying that if Kamala wins the presidency, she wants to like trans all the children, right? This was a very common talking point we heard. He brought it up. Even right now, the entire conversation about the shutdown is the Republicans saying, well, the Democrats are only, the reason for the entire shutdown happening is all because the Democrats want to give health care to illegal aliens. So that's why
Right.
I don't like that is it's a very popular framing. It's a very popular stereotype that's being pushed right now.
Right.
I mean, you're not seeing a TV show because I would say most of the media is still controlled by the left. So they're not going to be a TV show necessarily like that.
They in the Republic or in the Democratic debate, they all raise their hands about giving health care to illegal immigrants.
Well, hold on. Before I don't really want to get into some sort of super long conversation.
Well,
about
it does
the truth claim that. So you're just going to say that the
if
stereotype
everyone
is
in
true.
if everyone in the Republican, if someone asks them in the Republican debate, do you all want to see black people back in chains, and they all raise their hands, I think it would be safe to assume that stereotype was somewhat accurate, right?
So you're saying that you think that the stereotype, it's fine for them to push stereotype because it's true.
You don't think it's true that Democrats want to give health care to illegal immigrants?
No.
Well, not now. Now they've
Even
changed.
then they did. I don't think they even in that debate that we covered, I don't think they said illegal. Did they say illegals or did they say
undocumented immigrants?
Right. And then their argument, which
they said, does your health
hold on. Then their argument, which you can be in favor of or against, is we're not saying that give it to illegal aliens. We're saying that people that are here legally, like DACA, or people that are not U.S. citizens but are in the country lawfully, should get access to Obamacare, the Obamacare market, or Medicaid, or whatever. Right.
What's the other stereotype that they all want to trans the kids? Because I do think that's like a miscommunication over what is actually happening. The Republicans just believe that there's a more likelihood that there will be some sort of social contagion if the ideology is taught in public schools. And yes, Kamala Harris wants to make sure that the ideology is taught in public schools. So.
Okay, but I don't disagree with you. But part of the reason that both sides hyperbolize what's going on is in order to push a negative stereotype that gets people. Like, that's why the Republicans are not saying, oh, the Democrats want to give healthcare to people that are lawfully in the United States but are not citizens. But that's why that becomes, well, illegals, right? Because that's a more emotionally charged word.
There's an argument right now going on over the legal status of the immigrants. So, I mean, I think obviously that's part of the.
Well, I don't think there's there's an argument about how quickly the asylum claims should be adjudicated and how you would adjudicate them. But there's not really like an argument about, well, all these people that were here, legally, now suddenly you snap your fingers and you say, well, now they're all illegal. I mean, I guess you could argue for that, but I don't.
Well, the argument is that the Biden administration lowered the threshold for letting asylum seekers in, and the Trump administration wants to raise that threshold, and that's what the debate is over. So
but that didn't actually happen, though. The Biden administration didn't change any thresholds for allowing more asylum seekers to come in than before.
Well, I've heard people arguing about this, so I don't have the stuff in front of me, but I
believe that's accurate. So.
Okay, well, next time I come across it, I'll dig into the actual details, so I'll have it next time we talk.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, welcome back to the show.